reduced yields and changes in growing seasons, as well as on water resources such as reduced river flows, lake levels and groundwater replenishment.
Climate change is a reality. You know, it has been accepted globally. There is an issue. It is because of climate change that we are having a lot of crises, including what we are seeing in banditry, kidnappings, Boko Haram and the like. They were all products of climate change.
Change in precipitation can also influence the timing of planting and harvesting, a critical issue currently experienced in Kaduna State and some areas of northern Nigeria like Adamawa, Taraba and some parts of Sokoto. While Nigerians continue to lament over high cost of food, which is basically caused by several factors, including climate change, some traders say food can become more affordable to the ordinary Nigerian if government intervene.
Everybody will happy. We are begging him because he's now that he's our, in short, now he's there for the seat. And we love him, people love him. We love him well. We can buy the garri 300 as before.
Fertilizer, where then they put for the food to make and grow. Before this fertilizer, pass 6,000, 5,500 per bag. Fertilizer is 42,000, 45,000. How person go farm? Use 40-something thousand, put fertilizer. It might not be 1 bag, not be 2 bag, not be 3 bag. How you go take sell your food cheap?
In northern Nigeria, farmers are grappling with a dry spell characterized by a cessation of rainfall for 2 to 3 consecutive weeks. This occurrence can induce stress on crops and livestock, leading to reduced yields and growth rate, as well as disrupt planting and harvesting schedules, resulting in a mismatch with optimal grain conditions.
If you like making cheap food more affordable, I think there is also a lot to do. One thing we must do as a country, we must tell ourselves that those theories that we normally get, especially from the IMF, World Bank, that we shouldn't subsidize this, we shouldn't subsidize that, that should not come to agriculture. We have done that for a number of years. We have not been subsidizing. Of recent, government has done some subsidy because they gave out, you was made to understand, some fertilizer which was actually acquired by the central bank, over 4 million bags or so to farmers. How they did it and what they did it, I'm sure must have impacted. So government must finance and sponsor and fund especially our research centers so that we have better seeds.
In light of these circumstances, it is imperative for farmers to promptly embrace and implement strategies such as crop and land management techniques. Through these concerted efforts, the adverse impacts of climate change that are currently being witnessed can be significantly mitigated by improving the resilience of farmers in the face of environmental challenges.
Now to the stories. 3 states in the northeast, Jigawa, Adamawa and Taraba, have been hit hard by floods. At least 41,000 people have been displaced, while in the northwest state of Kaduna and Zamfara, over 4,000 houses would have also been affected. Stakeholders say the situation is becoming worrisome as NIMET's prediction was overlooked by many Nigerians, resulting to fatality and loss of properties. Galaxy TV Busan Yakusak sent in this report from Kaduna State.
At least 49 people have been killed and thousands displaced in Nigeria after heavy rains caused flooding in the northeast of the country, according to the National Emergency Management Agency. 12 people have also been reported killed and thousands of others displaced, with farmlands and other properties worth millions of naira destroyed in rain-induced flood in Gumi local government area of Zamfara state. These worrisome statistics of flood rendering people homeless and leading to fatality in some cases has been caused by climate change, which is mostly caused by human activities. Even though the government says 110 kilometers of embankments have been constructed to avert further destruction, the flooding continues to claim lives and properties, diverting scarce government resources meant for development.
When I was in 100 level, that was around 1982. I was in 100 level then. I learned for the first time about climate change. And our lecturer, Professor Agbola, told us that very soon Bar Beach in Lagos, will soon be in Ibadan. All of us shout, ah! No, because of the climate change. Well, from that time to this time, I can't laugh at his word again.
The Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency (NISA) issued an urgent warning to the public regarding the rising water levels on the River Niger system. According to NISA, the development is attributed to upstream activities in Niger and Mali, with reports from the Niger Basin Authority in Niamey, NBA in Niamey, Niger Republic. NISA added that the risk of flooding was expected to peak by the end of August and into September, urging states and communities along the River Niger system to remain vigilant, which has started occurring in states like Kaduna. Dr. Motoshe Philip, a university don, explained that proper enlightenment from government and the populace is required because with change of attitude, the effect of climate change and causes of flooding can be reduced.
We went around to 708 places trying to sensitize the citizens, but trying to let them understand the dangers of living or residing within prone areas. We have engaged stakeholders, which include traditional title holders and religious leaders, including people residing in those areas, so as to make sure that no harm comes to any citizen of the state. So unfortunately, yesterday we experienced two signs. I can say just two as of for yesterday: Sabongari local government and Zaria local government.
Let's revert back to what it used to be. Let every area be occupied with the grain. All this burning and all these things should stop. Some people, because they want to get rat to eat, they will go and burn forest. Because of rat, they will go and burn forest. So all those practices, there should be a legislation against all those things, where people will be prosecuted for doing all those things.
This year alone, government says 31 of the country's 36 states were at risk of experiencing high flood, while promising that its agencies will continue to monitor the situation closely, and provide regular updates to the public.
Now it's time to do a reminder of news that made headlines during the week. Tracking the Week is up next.
Hello and welcome to Tracking the Week. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new Director General of the National Intelligence Agency (NIA) and the Department of State Services (DSS). Ambassador Mohammed is the new Director General of the NIA. Adiola Oluwatosin Ajayi is the new Director General of the DSS. Ambassador Mohammed has had an illustrious career in the Foreign Service since joining the NIA in 1995. He had served in various roles, culminating in his promotion to the rank of director and his subsequent appointment as the head of the Nigerian mission to Libya. The 1990 graduate of Bayero University, Kano, had served in North Korea, Pakistan, Sudan, and at the State House Abuja. The new DSS Director General, Adiola Ajayi, rose through the ranks to attain his current post of Assistant Director General of the service. He had at various times served as State Director in Bauchi, Enugu, Bayelsa, Rivers and Kogi. Ajuri Ngelale, Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, in a statement, said the new appointment followed the resignation of the previous NIA and DSS chiefs. Igalale said President Tinubu expects that the new security chiefs will work assiduously to reposition the two intelligence agencies for better results and charges them to bring their expertise to bear in tackling the security challenges bedeviling the country through enhanced collaboration with sister agencies and its surgical alignment with the Office of the National Security Advisor. Still on Monday, a 7-day warning strike was being declared by the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors as a result of the abduction of their colleague Dr. Ganiat Popola. In a similar note, Galaxy's Oluwadara Akingbongbe had an interactive session with resident doctors at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, whereby the doctors justified reasons for embarking on the strike. Dr. Charles Aisudo, President Association of Resident Doctors, Lagos State, Ganiat Popola, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, stated that the most important thing is for the association to get the colleague, Dr. Ganiat Popola. He said the essence of the industrial action is to seek for help. On the other hand, Dr. Morolayo, Social and Welfare Secretary, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital Association of Resident Doctors, said that according to the National Executive Council meeting, a 7-day total strike has been declared in order to get help from government for the release of Dr. Ganiat Popola. Dr. Charles Asudo also sympathized with the patient, emphasizing that consultants are on ground to take care of them. Dr. Ganiat Popola is a registrar in the Department of Ophthalmology at the National Eye Center, Kaduna. She was abducted on December 27, 2023 in company of her husband and nephew. Popola and her nephew remain in captivity while her husband regained freedom in March. On Tuesday, the federal government inaugurated the Conversion Incentive Program of the Compressed Natural Gas Initiative in Abeokuta, Ogun State. The initiative seeks to offer relief to the masses due to the hardships caused by the removal of fuel subsidy, which has caused socio-economic hardship across the country. Speaking at the program launched in Abeokuta, the state capital, the Chief Executive and Program Director of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, said this has become imperative in order to effectively utilize the gas abundance in 30 of the 36 states of the Federation for economic recovery and growth. With this initiative launched in the state, major transporters will enjoy free conversion of the vehicles, as the state governor, Dakwa Abiodun, represented by his special advisor on energy, Jide Onokoya, described the program as a game changer for Ogun State. Speaking immediately after the program, the chief executive of the Presidential Initiative on CNG said the memorandum of understanding has been signed with 4 major conversion centers in the state towards cheap and clean energy. Still on Tuesday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has begun shipment of liquefied natural gas cargoes to Japan and China on delivered ex-ship basis. Olufemi Shoneye, Chief Corporate Communications Officer at NNPC Limited, quoted Shogun Dakpo, the Executive President downstream NNPC Limited, as saying this in a statement in Abuja. Dakpo was quoted as saying that the development was in line with the company's strategic vision to be a reliable global energy supplier. The delivered ex-ship is an international commercial term that requires the seller to deliver the product or goods at a specific port. The seller takes responsibility for the shipping and insurance for the product or goods until they get to the specified port of delivery. It requires expertise and a higher level of efficiency to execute than the free on-board system. Shonaya also quoted Dapo as saying that the NNPC Limited achieved a milestone in collaboration with 2 of its downstream subsidiaries. On Wednesday, there were indications that the Academic Staff Union of Universities in Nigeria will withdraw the notice of nationwide strike issued to government following the outcome of a meeting held in Abuja between the two parties. Before today's meeting, ASU says it has less than 10 days to the expiration of the planned strike notice, but hopes to have something concrete from the meeting to share with its members. ASU had earlier issued a 21-day strike notice to the federal government after its NEC meeting held at the University of Ibadan at the end of a closed-door meeting in Abuja. The meeting was adjourned to 6th of September 2024 for the final resolution of all pending issues. Speaking after the meeting, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, said the meeting worked out modalities on how to ensure progress in all grey areas, saying there was a very big window to resoluting the issues. He added that the task now is to work on those modalities, processes and procedures agreed on in solving the problems. On his part, the national president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, said the union would wait till the end of September 6th meeting before deciding on the next line of action, adding that the body is committed to have an uninterrupted academic calendar in Nigeria. Still on Wednesday, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) says it has successfully linked over 153 million SIMs to NIN, reflecting an impressive compliance rate of 96%, a substantial increase from 69.7% in January 2024. The Commission, in a statement issued and signed by its Director, Public Affairs, Ruben Moka, said this remains a significant progress in the federal government's 2020 policy to link up subscribers' identification model SIMs to national identity numbers (NINs). The statements disclosed that as the final phase of this critical process approaches, NCC solicited the continued cooperation of all Nigerians to achieve 100% compliance, adding that the complete linkage of all SIM cards to NINs is essential for enhancing the trust and security of the digital economy. It added that by verifying all mobile users, this policy strengthens confidence in digital transactions, reduces the risk of fraud and cybercrime, and supports greater participation in e-commerce, digital banking, and mobile money services, noting that this in turn promotes financial inclusion and drives economic growth. On Thursday, the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero, said the allegations against him and the Congress were baseless as they had nothing to hide. Comrade Ajero was speaking following his appearance at the Intelligence Response Team headquarters in Abuja. Ajero was invited by the police to address allegations of terrorism financing, cybercrime, subversion, criminal conspiracy, and treasonable felony. Arrived at the IRT office at 10:17 a.m. and left shortly after 11:15 a.m. He was accompanied by human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, activist Deji Adeyanju, and other senior NLC officials. Speaking to journalists at the Labour House after leaving the police headquarters, Ajero asserted that the NLC remains committed to defending the rights of Nigerian workers and will not be cowed by any form of intimidation. Reflecting on the challenges faced by Labour leaders, Ajero said no one can do the type of job they are doing without the type of hazards he's facing. Ajero further explained that his appearance before the police was in the interest of transparency and to clear the air on the unfounded accusations leveled against him and the NLC. He noted that the union will continue to fight for the welfare of workers and stand firm in the face of challenges. Still on Thursday, the Federal High Court in Abuja struck out a suit instituted against the anti-hunger protesters. Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Inspector General of Police, Department of State Services, DSS, and Chief of Army and Defense Staff. The suit, filed by about 17 Nigerians against the last nationwide protest, was thrown out by the court for lack of diligent prosecution. Justice Peter Lifu terminated the suit following the absence of the 17 plaintiffs and 26 defendants in court and without legal representation from the two parties. Although the suit was fixed for hearing, Justice Lifu was however shocked that none of the 17 plaintiffs showed up, neither were they represented by any legal practitioner. To worsen the matter, the defendant comprising Take It Back Movement, Nigerians Against Hunger, DSS, IGP, Chiefs of Army and Defense Staff had no legal representation, while no excuses or explanation were offered for boycott of the proceedings. Furious by the development, Justice Lifu held that it had become apparent that the plaintiffs were no longer interested in the matter and subsequently struck it out. The plaintiffs, drawn from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, had approached the court seeking order to terminate the protest on the ground that the fundamental rights to freedom of movement, human dignity, right to own property, economic, social and cultural development, and rights to national peace and security were being breached. On Friday, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission gave a one-month moratorium to traders and other market stakeholders involved in exploitative pricing to crash the prices of goods. The newly appointed Executive Vice Chairman of the FCCPC, Tunji Bello, said this at a one-day stakeholders engagement on exploitative pricing in Abuja. According to Bello, the Commission will begin enforcement after the moratorium. He said that the meeting was to address the growing trend of unreasonable pricing of consumer goods and services and the unwholesome practice of market associations. Bello described the Commission's finding that a fruit blender known as Ninja was being sold at a popular supermarket in Texas for $89, which is 140,000 naira, but the same product was displayed for 944,000 in a supermarket in Victoria Island, Lagos. Bello wondered about the basis for the arbitrary hike in the price of the blender compared to the Texas, United States of America. He said unwholesome practices, including price fixing, were threatening the stability of the economy. Some of the market stakeholders who spoke at the engagement said that the high cost of transportation, insecurity and multiple taxation, among others, were reasons for the continuous increase in prices of goods and services. Still on Friday, the federal government said effort had been made to enhance infrastructure and manpower in the health sector aimed at addressing the massive migration of health workers across the shores of Nigeria. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, made the disclosure at the 65th anniversary of the Nigerian Society of Physiotherapists held in Abuja. The minister, who was represented by the Chief Medical Director of National Hospital, Professor Mohammed Raji, said measures are in place to create a conducive workplace for the health workers through adequate funding and partnerships. While commending the society for its initiatives and achievement to the overall improvement of healthcare services in Nigeria, Raji called for public-private partnership in the health sector to complement federal government effort in improving healthcare delivery. For Minister of Interior, General Abdurrahman Bazao, in his remarks called for a collective effort to enhance medical rehabilitation in primary and other healthcare services. Also speaking, the NSP President Oyinlola Odusoya highlighted the challenges faced by the society, among which is the ravaging effect of brain drain on the profession. He stressed the need to address the menace to enhance quality health services in the country. And that's all we have on Tracking the Week.
Now, we move to the international desk for more news. This is news from the international scene. Israel says its forces have recovered the bodies of 6 hostages held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces said the bodies were located on Saturday in an underground tunnel in the Rafah area of southern Gaza. The IDF named the hostages as Kamel Gat, Esh Goldberg Poland, Alexander Lubanov, Almung Sarusi, and Master Sergeant Ori Danino. A senior Hamas official, Izzat al-Rishk, insisted Israel was responsible for their death as it has refused to sign a ceasefire deal. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would not rest until those responsible for their killings are brought to justice. In a statement, he also said his government was committed to achieving a deal to release those remaining in captivity and protect the country's security. A group representing the families of those held hostage in Gaza has demanded that Netanyahu address the nation and take responsibility for abandoning the hostages. The Hostages Families Forum said that all 6 held captive were murdered in the last few days after surviving almost 11 months of abuse, torture and starvation in Hamas captivity. The group has also announced plans to bring the nation to a halt on Sunday, asking the Israeli public to join protests in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv and elsewhere in Israel to call for a hostage exchange deal. One of Israel's most prominent opposition politicians, Yair Lapid, joined the calls for a general strike to put renewed pressure on the government to agree to a deal.
Ukraine has launched a wave of overnight drone attacks on Russia, causing fire at 2 Russian energy facilities. According to Russia's defense ministry, more than 158 Ukrainian drones targeted 15 regions of the country, including the capital, Moscow. The Russian military claimed that these drones were intercepted and destroyed, but as a result of the attack, a fire has broken out at an oil refinery in Moscow in a separate technical room, the city's mayor said. Sergei Sobyanin reported that at least 11 drones targeted at the capital city and the surrounding areas. Meanwhile, 75 miles from the Russian capital in the Tver region, loud blasts were heard close to the Konakovo power station. Russian media are reporting a fire at the facility. The region's governor, Igor Rudenya, acknowledged the fire caused by an attack in Konakovsky district had been contained, without providing details of what was hit. Local officials also said drones attempted to attack the Kashira power plant in the Moscow region, but there was no fires, damage or casualties as a result. An examined and verified video posted on social media which shows the explosion at all 3 locations. In the footage, fire appeared to have subsequently broken out at the Konakovo power station and the Moscow refinery. Ukraine has not commented on the claims, but Ukrainian forces have been stepping up long-range strike inside Russia over the past few months, launching squads of drones simultaneously as strategic target several times a week. It has been told that Western technology and finance are helping them carry out hundreds of long-range strike inside Russia. A Russian airstrike have injured at least 41 people in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, officials have said. Regional head Olev said that 5 children were among those wounded, and he accused Moscow of aiming exclusively at civilian infrastructure in the city. Among the buildings damaged are a supermarket and a sport complex in areas residents go to every day, he added. Russia is once again terrorizing Kharkiv, striking civilian infrastructure and the city itself, President Volodymyr Zelensky said in the wake of the attacks. Zelensky repeated the call for Western allies to give Ukraine everything it needs to defend itself. The mayor said at least 10 separate Russian strikes have been recorded, including the use of ballistic missiles. People may be buried under the rubble in some areas and rescue operations are continuing, he added. The attack comes after Ukraine launched a wave of overnight drone attacks against targets in Russia, where fire broke out at 2 energy facilities. No injuries or deaths have been reported by Russian officials. Still on the international scene, Donald Trump has signaled that he will vote in favor of legalizing marijuana for personal use in his home state of Florida ahead of a ballot on the issue in November. The Republican presidential nominee wrote on his Truth Social platform that voters are highly likely to approve the measure whether people like it or not, and therefore it should be done correctly. The former U.S. president stands put him at odds with other senior Republican figures, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has argued that legalizing recreational cannabis use would be bad for quality of life. Medicinal marijuana was made legal in Florida in 2016. Cannabis for both personal and medical use is legal in 24 U.S. states, according to the Pew Research Center. A further 14 states have legalized medical marijuana. The proposal is one of a number of amendments Florida residents will vote on in November at the same time as the U.S. chooses its new president. Trump is running against incumbent Vice President and Democratic Party nominee Kamala Harris. On legalizing marijuana for personal use, Trump said that there would need to be rules in place to prohibit the use of it in public spaces, so we do not smell marijuana everywhere we go, like we do in many of the Democrat-run cities. DeSantis has claimed that making cannabis legal for recreational use would turn Florida into San Francisco or Chicago, both cities in Democrat-run states. Marijuana was legalized in Illinois in 2020, and between January and July this year, cannabis sales reached more than $1 billion, according to the state government statistics. In California, where personal use was legalized in 2016, marijuana sales reached $4.4 billion last year. However, it is not clear how those figures compare to black market sales of cannabis, which, according to some, still thrives. Polls have opened in Azerbaijan for a snap parliamentary election, the first since it regained full control of the former breakaway territory of Nagorno-Karabakh in a lightning offensive last year against ethnic Armenian forces. Voting began at 8 a.m. on Sunday and will close at 7 p.m. More than 6.4 million people are registered to vote in the oil-rich Central Asian nation. Voting is being held in Nagorno-Karabakh for the first time in 30 years. Previous elections since independence from the Soviet Union have not been regarded as fully free or fair, and the vote for the melee measures, the National Assembly, is not expected to bring significant changes to the body dominated by President Ilham Aliyev, New Azerbaijan Party. Aliyev is often accused of ruling heavy-handedly, suppressing descent to the country of almost 10 million people on the shores of the Caspian Sea. Azerbaijan has seen economic growth under his leadership, boosted by significant oil and natural gas export. The 62-year-old leader succeeded his father, Heydar Aliyev, who was president between 1993 and 2003. The governing party owed 69 of the 125 seats in the outgoing parliament, and most of the rest belonged to small pro-government parties or independents. Lastly, on the international scene, rescuers in the Russian Far East have found no survivors in the wreckage of a helicopter that disappeared while carrying 22 people, most of them tourists. The aircraft went missing on Saturday after taking off from a base near the Vashkanest volcano in the Kamchatka Peninsula. Officials said on Sunday that 17 bodies have been found so far. That area, a popular tourist destination, is famous for its active volcanoes. The cause of the crash is unclear. Such accidents are relatively frequent in Russia's Far East, which is sparsely populated and suffers harsh weather. 3 years ago, 8 people were killed when a tourist helicopter crashed into a lake in Kamchatka. The Mi-8T helicopter that disappeared from radar on Saturday was carrying 19 tourists and 3 crews. The wreckage was found on Sunday morning in a hilly area, Governor Vladimir Solodov said on Telegram. Footage posted to the messaging app by Russia's emergency ministry showed helicopter debris lying near a slope close to the large wooded hill. Officials said the wreckage was found near the location where the helicopter went off radar. And that's it from the international scene.
And that's all we have for you. We thank you so much for watching. My name is Iribami Salako. Do have a great week ahead. Happy New Month.